We're back with another fraud pod.
Why don't you tell people what's behind you?
Baba Yaga, that's you. And to
Exactly.
the side of me, I'm surrounded by Baba Yagas, and what a
And
blessing
you're still
to
handling
have.
it.
Yes, and before we get into anything, I'm gonna do an unboxing of Darshan's recent swag box. Should I show everything or just the
Show everything.
like the coolest thing? Okay, let's go. He had to send me this thing separately because my first one broke. All right, I got a scented candle.
There you go.
Smells like I'm the fucking boss around here. This is amazing, and 100% soy candle. I don't know if Dr. Joe would approve of this, but
That's for the soy boys out there.
he
That
doesn't need to
Dan is a
know.
huge fan of.
He doesn't need to know. He'd kick me off his podcast probably for that. And then this plaque here, difference maker.
So we can't see it, by the way, because you're.
Yeah, I got it.
There you
Difference
go.
maker. When I don't have Baba Yaga backgrounds, I don't always do Baba Yaga backgrounds, but when I do, it's because Darshan is on. Difference maker. Difference maker. It's a noun.
It's
It's got
gone
my
off
name.
the screen. Okay.
Yeah, it's got my name on it, and then it's actually like a notebook too, so it's kind of cool.
Well, it has
And
your name
then-
specifically on it because you are a difference maker.
Well, thank you, man. I mean, that's really nice of you to say that, and it was honestly a nice gift. And then, probably the best part of all, we're gonna have the unboxing of something I thought is really cool. I don't know whose idea this was, but better call Darshan. Darshan Kulkarni, attorney at law. So I will pour my kombucha in here, and then after darks, I will pour other things in here. But for now, it'll be kombucha because I just
That's
worked
right.
out. I had a good day today. I worked out, got my weights in, got my cardio.
Look at you.
Work from home today, which is pretty cool to do on a couple of days a week. So yeah, it's been going.
We should
good,
talk about
man.
work from home as another thing. I have 4 topics for us already.
Well, yeah, and we're gonna. So if we want to jump into this contract first,
Yeah.
just to break the ice, right?
Yes, sir.
For those that have been following this journey, it's a real life contract I have in front of me, and Darshan is dissecting line by line, like he should. That's his job.
That is my job.
So we're on section 3, confidentiality and non-use. Do you have any comments about this?
Not
before
yet.
we even start reading. Not yet. Okay.
Wait, did you
Confidential
say and non-use?
and non-use. Yeah.
That's unusual. You don't usually see and non-use. So I want to see what that says. Because that would throw off some bells for me.
Okay, let's see where they get. A non-use just means like publication and authorship.
Which may be fine, but that's
This is
usually
a very
a separate
short
section.
It's a very short section.
That is
It's only
also
got 2
unusual.
points. Yeah, it's only got 2 points. So the first one is confidential information in connection with the study. All info provided to the investigator and our institution by sponsor or sponsor designated representatives or generated
Hold on. Before you continue.
Yeah.
You said and sponsor designated representatives. Who sent you this agreement? The sponsor or the CRO?
Sponsor.
Okay. So who's this? Why do you need a sponsor? Okay, fine. We'll leave that for a second. Have they ever defined, is R capitalized or small in representative?
Small.
Okay. So they never defined the word representative. Okay, fair enough. So the reason it mattered is because representative can be a defined term. So CRO could be a representative. Someone with duly signed authority could be a representative. You don't want the garbage man being your representative, even though technically he is in the context, or she is in the context of your cleaning services. But only certain people should be able to sign your document, and certain people should be able to represent what you're doing. I love that mug. That works for you.
It does work for me, man. It's really good.
Thank you. But yeah, that's where I would start. I would start by questioning
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't question it. The way I'm thinking is, thank God these guys gave me this study. And
so you want these studies, but the key piece, Dan, is not whether you want the study, but at what cost do you want the study. So I just signed an agreement with a different client, with one of my clients.
Yeah.
And I always insist on signing my own agreement. The contract in this case was pretty big. And I was like, you know what? What is my real risk in this scenario? And I went, I'll take the risk. And I'll go on with it. So
I like that.
What risk you're willing to take, but you should know the risk you're taking. when you're signing the agreement.
What's the risk? What's the main risk any site takes really at the end of the day when they sign up to do a study with a sponsor?
So the big risk you are taking is, number one, you won't get paid.
Not with
So I'm
these
talking about
guys.
small sites. Was
Yeah.
that?
Not with these sponsors, but yeah, I agree with you.
Well, delay in payments,
Yes,
non-payment.
thankfully not with these guys. Too.
Yep, delay in payments is the other one. The other thing I would be thinking about is adverse events and who's responsible for those adverse events. Billing issues and non-compliance around billing issues. What are the for a
Remember
small
our last
site?
one? Remember our last issue with the sponsor?
I don't remember anything.
I said that's because you're Baba Yaga. You got magical powers. I sent an invoice for a procedure due to an AE that's invoiceable, and they came back. Yeah, please fill out this CMS form.
Oh yeah.
Now you remember, right? That
Yeah.
raised some flags. Nothing major, and I sent it back with no social security number in a secured portal. They gave me a link, and they said, "Well, yeah, I told them it's not in our SOP to collect socials."
Yeah.
And they came back and said, "Well, for this case, we need to because we get fined if we don't have this form. We're not doing anything with it. We just have to prove that we are collecting it." And so I had to ask the patient for their social and explain why.
Interesting is what I'll leave
They
it
did
at.
say if the patient does not have any insurance other than Medicaid,
Mm-hmm.
they will try to bill Medicaid. And I told them this patient does have other insurance.
Either way, you're therefore billing third party public payers.
They will attempt, though, not me.
Nope, that's not how that works. This
Really?
is for all sites. This is for all sites. Recognize this.
Yeah.
In these scenarios,
Yeah.
if you are part of the chain that causes billing to happen to Medicare and Medicaid,
Yeah.
you are susceptible to lawsuit, to DOJ and OIG and other sort of concerns.
Okay.
So that is a big deal.
Do you want me? Hold on. Let me pull up the email now because now I'm curious. Is that okay to be curious?
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's pull it up. So I'll tell you because I thought it was rather odd too in my 18 years of dealing with research. And this is, mind you, the most legit sponsor you can be.
Oh yeah.
Like they're my favorite.
He told me what sponsor it was, and I was like, yeah, those are as legit as it comes.
Right?
Yep.
Let me find it. Gosh. Now when I need it, I can't find it. I got it. Thank God for AI emails. That's another podcast entirely.
Oh, we can do that.
Upon reviewing the CMS data collection form, the patient's social is required to query the CMS database for Medicare eligibility. If the patient is a Medicare patient and the cost is payable as a research-related injury, sponsor is required to report the payment to Medicare to avoid monetary penalties. And then they asked me for the ICT code for the
So at this moment, I would go. So how do you handle the privacy issues? Because that's exactly what you're asking me to do. And how do you handle the fact that we're dealing with confidentiality issues and you're breaking your blind? How are you managing all of those issues at that point?
Yeah, I didn't ask them anything like that. What I did was had a 15-minute conversation with the patient, and I told him we already paid this bill, by the way.
Yeah.
We're asking for it to be reimbursed to us. This is what I showed them the email. This is what they're saying. Are you okay with it? And they told me, yeah, we have private insurance, so it doesn't seem like it'll affect me. If they would have said no, I'm not comfortable with it, I wouldn't have sent it.
But it doesn't even matter whether or not they're comfortable. The issue is so first of all, whether or not there's a private payer involved, you might still be susceptible because both I want to say the Civil Monetary Penalties Act and False Claims Act does have elements that connect to fraud issues. So you do need to have a compliance program associated with that.
What should I have done? Like, what would you have done if you were my attorney in this case? What would you have advised me?
Okay, so if I was your attorney, I would have pushed back and first of all looked at the contract to see, is there even a provision for reimbursement by third parties? If there isn't, I would have been like, look, unfortunately, because of the liability associated with this, we can't go down this path. This was supposed to be covered by the sponsor, and you guys are going to have to take that on for yourselves.
So what's the risk? The
risk is pissing off the sponsor, so you've got to decide, is that worth the risk or not? But
what's the risk of complying with them? And like,
so the risk of compliance is now going forward for this entire trial, what you now have is a situation where any kind of false billing comes under CMS, and you've got to be worried about were you part of that part of that process where a false billing happened to CMS because you were part of that process. So let's say, for example,
save these emails or something.
Was that?
Should I save these emails or something? Or
I would. I absolutely would.
I almost lost it already, and it was only 3 days ago.
The other thing I'd probably do is I would actually also look for tracking reimbursement issues. So what is your data storage? What is your data storage policy, and where does it get stored? And what does your CTA say going forward? Like, not just address the one issue you have in front of you. What does this mean going forward? Is like, what do your SOPs say? So your SOPs might say that we don't allow for billing.
Collect social numbers.
Okay. If that's true, then why'd you give it? Why'd you violate your own SOP?
Right. And I should probably change it to under certain exceptions, like when it's requested for third-party reimbursement.
We don't collect Social Security unless you tell us to. Well, that's not really a policy then.
And unless the patient agrees. Because the way it played out, I called him.
Yeah.
I said, hey, listen, man, you don't have to do it. We already paid it, but it's on you. Like, this is the email I got. What do you think? And if so, just give me your social over the phone. I'm putting it directly in this form, and I'm uploading it. I'm deleting it. And he was like, yeah, I'm okay with that.
The issue ends up being more, well, I think you've got your fraud and compliance issues I just told you about, but you also have privacy issues. Most sponsors are not set up to handle HIPAA privacy issues. They will actively disclaim that. Right. Unfortunately, that's exactly what you did, what you shared. Patient identifiers.
They asked in a special,
I get that,
encrypted box. Send it here.
But do you have a HIPAA disclaimer in your packet where you actually told the patient that they will give up their privacy rights?
Yeah, there's like a partial HIPAA waiver, I think, in the consent.
So I'd look at what the language on that says.
Yeah.
The next,
or it might be a full waiver.
Yeah,
it's either partial or full.
But either way, well, I think that's great. Depending on how it's set up, you might be fine depending on how it's set up.
Okay.
But there's another element for the sponsor. If I was advising the sponsor, I'd go, are you even qualified to handle patient privacy information, patient private information, which you don't in many cases. I'd say the vast majority of sponsors are not set up to do that.
Right. This is like an exceptional sponsor.
I would be, even the exceptional sponsor you're talking about, I would be surprised if they have that.
Really? This one, you know who they are.
I know who they are. I would be incredibly surprised.
All right.
And I'm saying that because I know sponsors that size where I'd go, that's not expected.
Yeah. Do you think if I would have told the sponsor, hey, listen, not going to do it, patient not comfortable.
I'd ask them a really simple question. Can you confirm to me that you're HIPAA compliant? And they're going to tell you no.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, they'll say this box that we sent you is encrypted. And
yeah, but is that the same as? Can you tell me that you're HIPAA compliant? I'm not asking whether this is consistent with HIPAA. Are you HIPAA compliant? That's the only question I'm asking you.
Why would they not be? You think really?
I know for a fact that they're not. I mean, I don't know them specifically. I haven't looked into their specific case, but I don't know a single sponsor who is.
So they're violating.
I'm not going to answer that question.
Potentially?
Potentially, yes.
Wow. All right. Well, we got this.
Potentially. The reason I think
not
it's
legal or medical advice.
Exactly. Please put that on there. Yeah, exactly. But the other reason is because you don't want the liability. As a sponsor, you don't want to claim to be HIPAA compliant if you're not. There are reasons they do it that way.
So that usually you scare the shit out of the sites. Now you're just scaring the shit out of the sponsor. You've upped your game here.
Just to be clear, I'm in the middle of another project with another sponsor about the same size, and I'm helping them with these issues.
I see.
So yeah.
So this perfect in legal trouble. Better call Darshan. This is not an FDA issue, right?
This is a OCR issue, Office of Civil Rights.
So not FDA. If the FDA audits you, they don't care about this.
Technically, FDA will try to raise it, and the right person can go, I'm sorry, is this within your jurisdiction? You can raise... Robert
Goldman here. He already knows the question to identify yourself, so that's Robert Goldman. Robert, I hope you're listening, man. As a sponsor, are you HIPAA compliant? All right, and if not, you know the deal. Darshan will get you HIPAA compliant. I believe.
The
Or he'll
ones with
try.
handles
He'll
work
bill.
best.
He'll bill you and die trying.
Exactly, dude. Dude, we'll have that discussion at a different time.
This is so much
Collection.
more exciting than reading this contract. But
But
are
keep
you
going. I'm
satisfied?
sorry, we
Are you
stopped at one
satiated
point.
with it though? Are you good? Like
Yeah,
with
keep
this
going. Keep
point?
going.
No, but with this point, you're good. Like
Yeah,
I
I
know
think I
I
made
went
my
off
point.
track because I was. This
Yeah.
brought flashbacks. Okay. Oh, okay. Confidential information shall be kept in confidence and not used for any purpose not expressly provided for in this agreement for 5 years after the termination or
I'd push
conclusion of
back
the
on
study.
5 years. I'd probably aim for like maybe 1 or 2, generally speaking. You know
Okay.
what? No, I do that for a CDA. I'm not sure I'd do it for an MSA or the like.
I mean,
So
we
yeah,
never share. They could put 30 years for all I care. Then we never share.
you wouldn't. But so CDA, you usually do 1 or 2 only because you don't even have an agreement with them. Like, what am I saving this for? But if they put 3, 4, 5 years, you better be paying me some money for me to promise to keep to do something for you. At the NDA CDA phase, you're not doing anything.
Is there something such as goodwill? Like this is a client we want to work with more in the future, and it's worth.
I mean, you can, but the question is, if they're not paying you, why bother?
Because we're nice people and want to work with them again.
So
They
then
gave us
those,
another study, by the way. Shout out! I wish I could shout them out. Just
yeah.
can't.
No, and I'm sure that and I know they're excellent. So it's not a question of that. It's more a question of I tend to go. I don't want to be restricted for any reason. Like you could still do everything you wanted to do, but being contractually restricted has other implications. So I just try to keep my contracts limited to the extent possible.
Okay. 5 years after the termination or conclusion of the study, except in accordance with the publication section of this agreement, or to the extent that sponsor gives investigator and institution written permission or particular confidential information is required to the laws or regulations to be disclosed to the IRB, the patient, local regulatory agencies, or the FDA, to the extent disclosure is requested by.
At this moment, I would go, I want to have disclosure to my consultants, my attorneys, my representatives as well.
But that's implied, no? So how does
Nope.
that
There's
work?
no such thing as
That's the
implied.
question. Okay, fair enough. How I've always wondered how that actually works. Like we sign all these contracts, we have sometimes you have contractors working for you as a site. I assume if I give a CDA to my contractors, it covers everything I give them access to.
Only if your contract says that.
If my original contract with the sponsor or my contract
So
with
you have to
contractor.
you have to keep all your contracts in sequence. So if you have a contract from your sponsor to you, and that contract says you will protect blah blah blah, make sure you define exactly what blah 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 is, because your contract with your consultant needs to cover that as well. Because otherwise you have gaps. Yeah.
Have you ever seen a case where a sponsor sues a site?
I've seen lots of cases where sponsors sue sites. That's not a big issue. The question is why. In fact, I think there was one in Stanford right now for for IP reasons. But here, I think it was Stanford.
Non-IP reasons, just like doing a trial and sponsor sued the site. Because I would feel like that would give them bad publicity.
No, here, can you share let me share my screen.
Yeah, let's share it.
Hold on, let me share just a second.
Because maybe it's a misconception that sponsors just won't sue sites. Like it's bad. They don't want the bad press. Obviously, for IP stuff, yes. Like if you're stealing their IP, of course
like that.
Sue you. Right. That's different. They're stealing the technology. I'm just talking about, hey, we had a contractors that we used as consultants, and then sponsor found out, and they're like, hey, you can't do this.
No, they're not gonna buy. Is it worth targeting? Is the question. By the way, I kept this. We addressed this question, but we might get into this issue as well.
Conrad Redjack. I love how you just put people on blast too on your LinkedIn. You put and then you had your smiley face in front of it. You're like, pharmacist got busted and goes to jail, and Darshan's right there. Like,
I learned that. Just to be clear, I never used to do this, but Dan Safara told me that I need to voice my opinion more often.
True, but I just found it hilarious. Like, what? Some guy's going to jail for God knows what, and then Darshan's up in the camera cheesing. All right.
Dude.
I saw
I'm
that.
not trying to put anyone on blast. Like, we all make mistakes.
No, I know. I just found that funny, man. Yeah. I truly chuckled on my news feed. So good job, man. You're actually doing a good job marketing.
But yeah.
So who's this guy?
So what are we going to finish the contract before we go to this guy? We've got
I mean,
loads of things to talk about.
we're basically done with it, but I mean, okay. Let's finish the paragraph at least.
Yeah. You want to take this off the screen till then?
Confidential.
Take it off the screen.
My bad. Until then, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, confidential without prior consent. If such a disclosure is sought by a third party under a claim of legal right, investigator and institution shall reasonably cooperate with sponsor in the event sponsor wishes to take legal action to challenge such claim or the disclosure.
Stop. Wait, I'd have to read the sentence again. Is it if sponsor requests or on site requests? And the reason I'm asking is if the sponsor's requesting, for example, in the case of like IP, I want to be paid for that. If the site's requesting, obviously you can't ask to be paid for it.
To the extent disclosure is requested by any other person or entity, investigator and our institution shall promptly notify sponsor and shall not disclose any confidential info without sponsor's prior written consent. If such disclosure is sought by a third party under a claim of legal right, investigator and institution shall reasonably cooperate with sponsor in the event sponsor wishes to take legal action to challenge such claim or the disclosure.
And that I would say should be paid for at fair market value rates.
So
do you understand why?
$900 an hour.
I think you raised my rate to $2,000 last time we were talking.
Oh, that's right. So in your case, it's like $3,000 an hour. However, in no event shall investigator and or institution be obligated to defy any law, regulation, or judicial or governmental order. Investigator and institution shall be responsible for ensuring that their employees, sub-investigators, contractors, there's my answer, and agents are obligated to these same or substantially similar terms of confidentiality and non-use. So we're good then how we're operating, more or less.
Well, do you actually have a same or substantially similar agreement?
We have a CDA in place, yeah, with the...
But not a CDA. Your consulting agreement.
We have a consulting agreements too, yeah.
And is that consistent with what's required under these agreements, under your CTAs?
Man, I don't know. That part I don't know, Darshan, don't sweat me.
It's Baba Yaga time. Hashtag
You're
Baba
making
Yaga.
me anxious, man. The Baba Yaga's coming out. I don't know. Truth is, I don't know. We have some contractors.
Yeah. Everyone has contractors. It's kind of par for the course.
Yeah.
But the question is, so here's one of the things that I don't know if you've even addressed. Did we get to the section on compliance with all applicable laws? I don't think so, right?
Yeah, well, they said not to violate laws.
Yeah, okay, so that section. One of the laws requires...
that's next. Compliance with the U.S. regulations.
There you go.
Possible financial conflicts of interest.
Yeah.
Assessment of personnel qualifications to conduct the study. Quality control and study management, and disclosures to IRB.
I need you to start that sentence again. Where is it in the same section or is it a different section?
No, different section. Site personnel and data notice.
Okay, so that's going to be next time's conversation. But as a preview, what I do want to talk about is in that scenario, it basically requires that you check to make sure that that everyone's following the rules, that they're not that the people you're working with are not disbarred, they're not disciplined, that they are not restricted, that you have a compliance program in place. And I can assure you, almost no small site I know has a program like that, and almost every large site does.
Well, if every pharma doesn't have, if no pharma have HIPAA compliance, you learn something new, guys and gals, every day. Basically, we're living in a matrix, and no one knows what they're doing. And then there's people like Darshan Baba Yaga in the ether. You know, they're out here ready to help. Sometimes not help. Sometimes litigate.
Exactly. Sometimes my job is to help. I'm actually helping another site right now, dealing with a crazy PI. And I've helped PIs dealing with crazy sites. It's always fun.
I've heard some horror stories. I've been lucky with my PIs in my career.
I think PIs, some of them are awesome. And I think some of them are less so.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I had a crazy one, but he wasn't hostile. He was just truly crazy.
Oh,
he was a psychiatrist, ironically enough.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think it can be a complicated mess. I actually had one. So I told you about OCR, not OCR, OCI. Is it OCI? I can't. Oh, ORI. That's what I'm thinking of. ORI.
Office of Research Integrity.
Yes.
Everybody
And there are
knows
new
this.
rules around how they want sites to actually have controls in place because it's a proposed
Wow.
rule, and that will dramatically change how large academic institutions have to monitor and manage their SOPs. And most places don't even know that that's coming.
Man, every time I talk to you, I get scared. Think it shaves some years off of my life, or maybe adds some. I don't know. Maybe
Exactly.
prepare me proactively.
Forewarned is forearmed. There you go.
I like that.
And Dan Safara, if you look at Keanu, he's definitely forearmed.
Definitely armed. That's
But yeah.
okay. So next, that was a preview for next time. The next section just says you don't own the publication. And,
So we'll talk about that because that's
well,
always a
I mean, that's
messy.
basically what it says. No doctor wants. None of our PIs would care about that.
Generally speaking, yes.
And that's a
Having
good
said that, I've
segue
met small
for this.
sites who do care, especially when you start getting into sponsor investigators.
Yes, and that's a good segue, not for investigators, but for side gig.
Oh, so you want to talk about
Or
side
you want to
gigs or
show
work
this
from
first?
home?
You want to show
Or
this first? Okay, who's this Conrad Ridgejack? Let's
okay,
go.
so let's
I'm
make
intrigued
this.
now. MD
So
and a PhD.
he's a smart guy. He's not like a dumb dude. But this is interesting from CBER, which is unusual
Wow,
because
warning
usually
letter
you see it from
CEDAR.
CEDAR.
Ah,
But they were looking at Gamma Guard and they were looking at Hycuvia. Hycuvia, I don't know how to pronounce that. But I've worked with Gamma Guard before.
not to be confused with IQVIA.
Yeah. Failure to prepare adequate and accurate case histories that record all observations, which is problematic. Again, this is documentation. Over and over and over again, the FDA wants you to have documentation, and over again, you do not have that. I also think it's interesting because this is a warning letter and came as a result of there was an inspection between May 15th and May 19th. At the conclusion, it was discussed with you. They responded. There was a written response dated this. We determined that it was not basically they violated these regulations. So this is the importance of how you respond. Far too often, especially the smaller sites, I see small sites trying to respond to FDA warning letters, well, FDA 483s and the like, and they don't understand how to do a root cause analysis. They don't know how to do a CAPA. More often than not, they will just do the corrective action, not the preventative action. So how do you actually organize your CAPA program? Do you actually have a quality program in place? None of that's being addressed. So that to me, for smaller sites, this is the importance of responding and doing it adequately and appropriately. Again, let me pull up top 5 reasons. Top 5 reasons for an FDA finding investigation. Here we go. I'm pulling this up. I'm trying to pull up. Here we go. This is from Florence Healthcare. But if you, can you? Yeah.
Okay. Top 5 most common clinical trial site FDA audit.
Inadequate or inaccurate records and failure to follow an investigational plan. Those are like 84% have this problem. And what do you see here?
Right.
Lack of appropriate documentation.
Yeah.
And again, the response letter states that really says that internet connections were poor due to COVID. Dude, everyone's internet connection was incredible during COVID.
As a result, raters enter the assessment data into the tablets at a later time, either based on written notes or on their memory. We find this response inadequate for several reasons. Wow. So basically, the data was not documented in real time, or who knows? I mean, this could be like actual fraud.
Could be, but hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Yeah.
But here's the second one. What was the second thing? What was your second one? Failure to follow investigational plan.
Yeah.
Failure of the investigation was conducted according to the statement in the investigational plan. And then failure to retain records, again, as required. Now, this is interesting, right? Period of 2 years following the date a marketing application is approved. So a lot of sites, for example, will say, I'm keeping it for 6 years because that's what a lot of like states seem to require. 6, 8 years, depending. But if your product is not approved, so let's say you're involved in a phase 1 study, your drug may not be approved for another 15 years, which means that you need 2 years from that 15 years.
Right.
Which means that you actually want appropriate documentation saying that at a certain point, either we're going to destroy these records or sponsor, you need to take them away.
I've been involved with site closing
Yep.
PI retired. We sold the site to another PI, and previous records from the other PI, they didn't want to store it. So I contacted every sponsor, and I got like 85% of them to agree to take it back, and 15% of them I didn't get anyone.
Right.
Multiple attempts, and then
Yep.
I documented that they were destroyed, and
But where
that's
do you
it.
keep the documentation?
At the site, they agreed to keep that
The
in
site that
case
doesn't
somebody
exist?
at the new site, because someone took over, but it was a new PI, so they kept it in case somebody shows up like 5 years later.
Yeah. But again, it comes down to what it was. Was it an asset purchase agreement or was it a stock purchase agreement? If it was an asset purchase agreement, you technically aren't the same site. If it's a stock purchase agreement, maybe you should keep the records as well, because technically speaking, you bought the site.
Probably
Lock,
have
stock,
them.
and barrel.
Probably have them somewhere.
Maybe.
AI is pretty good. If I only could remember my email password.
So here's the other thing. In the response letter, you submitted a photo of an NCAT scale. You stated the data was entered into the tablet. I mean, ignoring the fact that this is just a straight up HIPAA violation, because how do you know that the photo was compatible and consistent and sort of met all the HIPAA requirements?
Or the photo was taken on their phone. Someone's
Correct.
phone.
The photo file was not presented to the FDA investigator during the inspection, but was found following the inspection. And you acknowledge that it was improper.
Found
I'm
on
not sure that
phone.
helped you.
It was found on phone following the inspection.
Exactly.
You acknowledge this was improper behavior and stated it was isolated event. So the fact that they took a picture.
I mean, if OCR was there, OCR would not be happy. FDA can't respond on that because I'm not aware of any part that makes the FDA responsible for privacy. They can look at it from a patient protection standpoint, but it's not really a privacy issue for the FDA.
Now you can scan things on your phone as long as they don't have patient PHI, right? Patient protected health.
Sure. But it depends on what you're scanning. Like, what kind of information do you have to send that's not
source
PHI?
Source documents.
Why wouldn't a source document be PHI?
Because they're de-identified. It's just initials, and there's no way to determine who is the. I'm asking because a lot of CRAs travel.
I know they do.
They
So
use
technically,
the Adobe scanner on their phone to take pictures.
So just to be clear, it's not de-identified. It's pseudo-anonymized. There's a difference.
Explain.
What pseudo-anonymized means is that if I add additional information, I can identify who the person is. So the initials are pseudo-anonymized because I know that PH stands for Patrick Henry. On the other hand, you say patient between the age.
How do you know PH stands for Patrick Henry?
No, because I would add more data in, i.e., I have the list of patients.
I see.
So GDPR, for example,
is not the same as
correct.
PHI.
Correct. Pseudo-anonymized is not the same as de-identified. That's what I'm saying.
I got you. Or redacted.
Correct. So redacted
because I know
is
a lot
de-identified.
of CRAs travel with their phones, and I'm speaking from third-hand accounts, of course.
Yep, of course.
But we have Adobe scanner on our phone.
Yep.
And it's a tool. And we use tools.
So
Baba Yaga strikes again. You guys are gonna be peeing your pants. You continue, man. Who needs a horror movie anymore?
I find, to me, this is one of those scenarios, as you can tell, where the response letter did more harm than good.
Do you know what institution this person's from? Is it written there? Like a AMC or?
It's in Poland.
Oh, it's in Poland. There's a lot of jokes that can be thrown in there.
Don't even go there.
Okay. I'll take your legal advice on that one.
Thank you.
I love the Polish people, by the way. I was on a recent webinar. Polish. Oh, really? Ask her how she feels about
ethnically.
That. There used to be a European joke. I don't know if Americans get it about Polish people, but I won't go there.
So yeah.
By the way, I love Polish people. Shout out to you guys.
That's not a good call out. Your contradictory explanations, along with the gaps from assessment time, raises concerns about the reliability of the data. If you are a sponsor, you should be really worried at this moment.
Yeah, but this is a U.S. institution auditing a Polish site.
Correct.
How does
that work?
Which means
that it was part of an IND or part of an NDA.
So what if this investigator could care less? Like, I just won't work with U.S. sponsors anymore.
That's fine. Unfortunately, there are sponsors who are already dependent on them. And US sponsors tend to pay very well.
Right.
And if you're a global company, you can't really say no to these studies because all your studies tend to be global.
And it doesn't tell you the name. Like this is not a university, or we don't know. We can't find
Well,
out.
we could look him up.
It'll be the next episode of Darshan's news feed. Who is
Here,
this guy? Conrad Rajic would love to get
University
you on
of
the podcast.
whatever. Yeah, I can't pronounce that. That's sorry, doctor.
Would
That's
love
him, I
to
guess.
get him on.
Translate.
That email is not de-identified. It is pseudo-anonymous, right? Did I get it right?
Where's the email though?
You did something and it went away.
I just translated it. Yeah.
There were
I guess.
and stuff.
Okay. So he was at University of Leeds, I guess. I don't know what that means.
I mean, it seems like university type of behavior. Like most are good, but when they're
respectable,
egregious,
like I'm not. This is not dissing him at all.
No, but when they're egregious like this, it's not surprising. Like
I don't know if it's egregious. That's the thing.
They don't even do studies to make money.
Yeah,
a lot of
them just want to do it to help people. But again, ideally, they make some money off of that as well.
No, they do the research because they have to. Like, there's like a quota they get at me.
There's that as well. Yep, yeah. to actually become from assistant to associate professor and stuff. They require that you have so many studies and the like.
So it's not greed. In this case, like some of the other episodes of Fraud Pod.
Why is that not greed? Because it comes with a pay raise, it comes with more reputation.
You're right. It's not direct greed, right? It's like a couple of levels away from greed, but it's still greed.
I wonder what Dr. Goldman would say. Is that greed or not?
Dr. Goldman says a lot of stuff, but he was commenting on the mug. So yes,
I know. I don't know if he's still listening.
Poor Conrad, man. Dr. Rajic, let's get you on and get your side of the story. I know.
That's right.
Baba Yaga's scary, but everyone's got their own.
Everyone has their side, including.
And I'm sure if we brought him on,
right now.
Listen, all jokes aside, I'm sure if we brought him on, he'd have a very logical explanation. Like, listen, they got me working at this department. I've got like 100 studies going on. I don't even know what's happening here.
More likely than not, I feel like his response is where he didn't get a chance to explain himself properly. So the other thing, first of all, I'm going to address one more thing. We're going to get into weight loss and med spas and stuff, but that might be another time. But let's discuss one more thing, which was
med spas.
Well, I'm curious. Do people want to hear that? I'd be curious to see if people think.
There's a lot of doctors. I don't need to go outside of Yuma to find doctors that I know doing this right now because Medicare reimbursement rates are crap, and the big medical systems in town are pushing prices down. And I mean, I've heard it from so many of these providers out here just in Yuma.
Yeah.
So they're all thinking, okay, well, how do we do like testosterone pellets? And how do you know what that is? Like, yeah, you're a pharmacist.
I do know what testosterone pellets are.
They're pushing that stuff's going on. Like, it's way more common than you think.
Oh, I know. I
don't know about Pennsylvania. It's
not so much in Pennsylvania. It's a lot more West Coast than East Coast.
Yeah, but it definitely Arizona, because California, like some of the more litigious regulated states are not really getting into it. But like Arizona, it's every other corner is a cosmetic clinic, or what do they call it? They don't call it medical spas, but they call it cash pay procedures, right? It's not like internal medicine. They almost do the internal medicine stuff because they feel like they have to, because patients are still patients. But like, you're gonna go get pellets, but you still need your blood pressure meds refill. Yeah. What are your take on that?
Well, I think we should have a whole different talk on that one, because I think that there's so much to discuss there. Because I've literally written like long articles on that. Like, I'm working through 2 different client matters on exactly that issue.
On pellets?
This one's on med spas and some issues associated with med spas. Everything from advertising issues to manufacturing issues and compounding issues to what can doctors do? What are the requirements around that? So and sort of, can you use compounded products for your patients in the context of like weight loss, which is a huge business right now. So we can talk through that as well. But we want to talk maybe about, because we've kind of almost been doing this for 45 minutes now.
They've scared people a lot so far, but there's more fear to be instilled in the hearts of many.
We can talk about remote work. Because you were talking about remote work.
Yeah, working from home.
Yeah.
Tell me how I'm breaking the law, Darshan. Let's go.
Okay, so
Don't put me on the spot. By the way, this is just hypothetical stories, guys.
I don't know what you're doing,
I don't
and let's
either.
keep it that way.
Yeah.
But here's my first question that I would ask people who are working from home. What access do you have working from home? How do you ensure that the people who are working for you are subject to the laws that they need to be subject to? So, for example,
And nobody has a plan.
no one has a plan. People just go, you do it.
Yeah, get it done from home. I remember back in the day before Creo, because Creo, you can actually say, okay, work from home today, whatever. You're not feeling good. At least answer these queries.
Well, here's my question. Hold on. Let's take exactly that.
Yeah.
And I don't know Creo. I haven't looked at their software, so just to be clear about that. So I'm not making a comment on Creo. But in the context of a CTMS system or the like, if you are working from, say, California and your site is in Arizona, let's say your PI is traveling, how do you ensure that, for example, that the right person is accessing the Creo site? Do they have two-factor authentication, for example?
They do.
They do. Great.
Creo takes care of all that stuff.
But now, how do you ensure that so the reason I'm saying that is I actually know sites that don't have that. They don't have two-factor authentication, for example.
But they're using the stuff they've built themselves, or what are they using?
So some of them are using stuff they've built themselves. Sometimes the software doesn't have that. Sometimes they're not.
Vendors will have. This is where I think reputation matters as brands for like tech platforms. Yeah, I mean they have that. They've been through audits and the like.
Are you saying Creo is HIPAA compliant, or are they HIPAA consistent?
I don't know either or the difference, and I do not represent Creo. Raymond Nomizu, get on the show, man. Come on, take the hot seat.
So, if I was Creo, I would never, ever, ever claim to be HIPAA compliant, because you can be HIPAA compliant, but your clients may not be.
Right. You're providing the tool.
Correct. You're only writing the tool. Which is why a lot of the language is HIPAA consistent, which means we provide things that will allow you to be HIPAA compliant,
right?
But we are not.
I think that's the way they go. I'm pretty sure that's the way they go.
And that may very well be how you do it. But then the question becomes, for example, at your site, are you HIPAA compliant? And I'm not asking you specifically. Theoretically, I would say most sites are actually not HIPAA compliant.
I would agree. I would think, yeah, I agree. And not because they don't want to, but just because modern day work demands are not consistent with HIPAA compliance. Like the regs haven't caught up to the workflow.
Well, I think that's exactly why you need to have controls in place. So I think the regs are exactly where they are for that purpose. What you need to do is you need to have the right training in place. You need to have the appropriate controls in place. And quite honestly, what you also may want to do, this is where you and I had talked about the idea of the corporate practice of medicine. If you get the appropriate disclosures and waivers from the patient and you are engaged in this properly, you may not need to be HIPAA compliant. In fact, you disclaim HIPAA compliance, like a lot of sponsors will do, because they don't want to be in that business.
I see. I don't think sites want to be in that business either.
And sites may not need to be if you are, in certain cases, doing like an MSO or the like.
But like the whole concept of working from home, because it's not just sites. I mean, it's actually
it's everyone.
Like, it's mainly everyone else except sites, really. But sites do have work from home as well.
Absolutely. Here's a question for you.
Just yesterday, I texted Grecia, hey, for this patient, there's 2 queries. I know you're sick today.
Yeah.
But there's 2 queries in the EDC. Just take care of it. And then she replied back, okay, I will tomorrow when I'm in. So
yeah, that's great.
But she could have easily said, okay, I just did it. You know, and all right, she worked from home.
Now, what happens, for example, if you are a truly remote site? So it's not work from home as much as a remote, like a decentralized. Yeah, a virtual site almost. Yeah. In fact, I think hold on, let me see if I can pull this up. Just a second.
Baba Yaga is on it today. These evening ones with Baba Yaga, very different.
You ready? Bring it. Let me share my screen.
Walgreens and BARDA form strategic partnership to strengthen decentralized clinical trial model and reporting. The first of its kind collaboration between Walgreens and U.S. government. These guys, by the way, side note, they do not give up. This first of its kind collaboration between Walgreens and U.S. government aims to address barriers in decentralized clinical trial access and conduct trials over a 5-year period valued up to $100 million for the some word salad acronym program.
So you also said they do
Short.
not give up. Here, you might find this interesting.
Why pharmacy chains are failing.
So
Yeah.
I have a podcast coming out tomorrow, day after, I think, hopefully, that I respond to the CNBC. It's a 12-minute video. I think my video ends up being like 30 minutes because I'm responding to all of it.
Oh, you're
But-
reacting to this video?
Yeah. But my point being,
Interesting.
it's a $100 million partnership that's going to help them, but they're doing this.
And it's called DCHOR program. Somebody got paid 6 figures to come up with that acronym. I could have came up with a better one. I do memes
But look at
for fun,
this.
guys.
It's with BARDA, which is, I don't know if you've heard of ARPA and DARPA, but this is
Of course,
BARDA.
man. I'm into conspiracies deep down the rabbit hole. Darshan. Don't you know me by now?
I do, which is why I'm not even a little bit surprised.
I've got documents, dog. Continue.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of fascinating. So the point being, if you're looking at something like this, and you're talking about decentralized studies, in
Yeah.
that scenario, work from home is a real thing you need to think about.
No, and not just work from home, remote work. Like, dude, I'm not trying to call anyone out, but literally every single CRA,
Kevin
not
has
one
a
or two,
point.
every single CRA that comes to my site or any other site scans things with their phone. Like, no one's asking to borrow your scanner. They've got Adobe Scan on their phone,
Yep.
and it's probably not their company issued phone. It's
Let me ask you another question. Is their Adobe system HIPAA compliant? Because it probably saved to the cloud as well.
I have no idea, man. Yeah, I have no clue.
So you now have patient information floating.
Knowing you, you don't need to know all that. They're in trouble regardless, man. That's Darshan. You should have been a litigator, man. You got free money here. They used AI to generate that name, Kelvin. I think AI would have been funnier, man. AI would have been better.
Let's see what it stands for. Oh, here it is. Decentralized Clinical Operations of Healthcare and Research.
Rolls off the tongue. Is this the Boots Alliance or something?
Well, I think Walgreens bought Boots.
Guru Nation, not sponsored by Walgreens. I mean, I would love them to sponsor, but they're running out of money.
What I also find fascinating is BARDA's on a phase 4 observation. This is what they're doing as well. This is known as having really good contacts within the system.
Yeah, a little bit of regulatory capture too. Kelvin thinks it's funny, man. Walgreens doing bad. They should stick to selling Snicker bars. Right before your Ozempic refill, here's some Milky Ways.
As someone who does exactly that, how dare you, sir? I feel called out.
Well, in fairness to you, actually, have you ever owned a pharmacy?
I've not owned a pharmacy. I've worked at several.
I have enough morals to not sell candy bars in my pharmacy if I were to ever own a pharmacy.
Let me ask you this. If you owned a gas station, would you sell cigarettes?
Of course I would.
What is the difference?
I'm not claiming to be a health retailer in that scenario.
Oh.
Wellness. Their whole thing is wellness. How are you going to claim that? Chevron's
So
just
would you sell
selling
vapes? Would you sell vapes in a pharmacy?
Hell no.
Why?
Because it's dangerous.
Yeah, but unless you see vapes as a step down from cigarettes.
No.
Why?
I wouldn't. It's just not. It's against my moral compass.
Okay.
I wouldn't do it. I would go very artisanal. It would be old school. Like, we would send you birthday cards, like come to your house and bring you like sandwiches. I don't know. We'd do something.
And this applies even if your pharmacy chain is failing?
No, they're failing because they got too big.
Actually, I think it's totally different.
Yeah.
I think
they're
it's failing.
PBMs.
PBMs are kicking their ass as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot
They expanded
of stuff.
too quickly, man. They like, and then Amazon, not even to consider Amazon yet getting into pharmacy. Are they still doing that? Amazon?
Oh yeah.
So that shoe hasn't even dropped yet.
Oh no, it's not significant yet. It'll
If the vape makes a health claim for cessation, it could be okay. Sure. There's got to be something here. Look.
Actually, Kevin, the original goal was to make exactly that claim. It just takes a lot of research to do that.
Right. Darshan and I almost did something together back in the day.
Did we on that?
We were down the rabbit hole on a potential project.
Here, this is what your PBM thing looks like. So your pharmacies here, hold on, yeah, especially pharmacies. But here are your PBMs, and if you notice, I am not seeing Walgreens in any of them, which is a bit of an issue.
Right.
This is 2022, so I don't know if things have changed since then. But yeah.
Yeah. And they'll give you like a 10-foot long receipt for when you buy that one candy bar. It's a bunch of ads and who knows what else. Yeah, all your HIPAA rights have been waived and everything else when you walk out of that store where they have video cameras everywhere scanning your face.
So this is, I love it, put this out. Great law firm as well. They do pharmacy law a lot of pharmacy law. I help with pharmacists as well.
Are you sponsored by them?
No, they're technically competition, but they're actually wonderful people.
Ah, okay.
Did
Walgreens rebrand to CVS? I don't think so. Oh, Care. Well, they're all going to be irrelevant soon. I think Walmart remains because of Sam's and Walmart itself. No one goes into Walgreens. Well, that's not true. You go into Walgreens to get like last minute things you need, like.
So I think that's the problem. I think the issue is exactly that, which is pharmacies didn't change as the internet took over. They kept having this footprint that just kept getting larger, and people just started saying, I want my stuff right now in my house while I'm in my pajamas.
Right.
And I don't think pharmacies moved in that direction.
Right.
And if anything, as a pharmacist, I say this, I think we made life more difficult. There's now pre-authorizations and deductibles. And
doctors will hate you guys because they're out there having to hire a full-time pre-auth person.
The truth is, pharmacists have no control over that, and pharmacies have very little control over that. But that's being done by your insurer.
Right.
Every so I don't know if you ever interviewed this one individual. She talked about nudging. Suzanne Kirkendall. She's great. She's awesome.
No, we'll get her on right after Kevin, the guy from Poland.
There you go. But Suzanne talked about how every time you put do people know what nudging is? Nudging is basically, I'm sorry?
In the physical sense only.
Yeah, no. So nudging is actually how Facebook gets you to stay on the website. It's how you make people do things that they may not actively be thinking about. Stickiness. There you go. So how do you get people to, for example, go to Walgreens? What is Darshan, what are your thoughts on?
What are your thoughts on CMS 00?
I have no idea what that is.
Kelvin's an AI, man. Don't you know?
Hold on. CMS.
Please give me your emotions on CMS-0057.
CMS-
and improving prior auth.
0057. Hold on. Well, I don't know if they're going to try to improve prior
Kelvin, you'll receive a bill from Darshan after this live stream at his rate of $1,000 an hour divided by 5 minutes.
Patient protection, affordable, advancing interoperability, merit-based systems. I mean, I'm not going to read through the whole thing. It's only 822 pages. But it's more directed to interoperability. So you'd have to understand not just is there anything to do with improving prior auth, but how does it actually play out? And like, there's this portion right here, provisions that go into prior auth API and improving prior auth access. There you go. But how does it tie into everything else?
Prior auth, decreasing Medicare payment reimbursements, fighting with insurance companies, health systems dominating your area. It's a segue into why doctors like to diversify into other ways to make revenue, research being one of them. Like, we have a huge segment of our audience that are physicians that are like, hey, that makes sense, Dan. Can we set up a call? I mean, every day we have doctor reaching out, and I love it. We need more, especially if they have private practice. But then you also see a bunch of, and some of our clients do, med spa owners. A lot of them do this off-label stuff. I don't even know the legalities of pellets and all that.
We can talk about all of it.
Yeah. I think pellets are actually legal.
It comes
under
down.
certain
We should discuss it. How about that?
Yeah, yeah. I think we can throw that into the med spa because here in Arizona,
Absolutely.
there's a lot of NPs, nurse practitioners, a lot of physicians looking to start groups and saying, "Hey, we're gonna do like Botox. We're gonna do things that patients are gonna pay cash for." There's even one doctor in town, Darshan. He made his own kind of like insurance plan. His patients pay him a monthly rate.
Yep.
He'll make house calls.
It's called concierge
He'll
medicine. There was
concierge
actually a whole
medicine.
TV
Yeah.
show about it.
Yeah, concierge
Um,
medicine. Thank you. He was gonna be one of our PIs, but his practice wasn't big enough. And he, in fairness to him, he explained why. He said, "Look, I'm only after like the top 10% of Yuma, really. But
so
I'll go after the. We'll do like he's delivered babies in
bring this
people's
up.
houses. He's delivered babies in people's homes, man. Like,
I think that might be problematic unless he's an OB-GYN. But it was about
no,
concierge
he's not.
medicine.
Royal Pains.
Yeah, this is like a
Not
TV
sure
show
what this
from.
is. It's looking a little familiar with your recent post about somebody getting blowjobs for.
Just to be clear, no, that is not what happened. It was.
You
my
made a post.
recent po-
You make awesome posts, by the way. You guys need to all follow Darshan. Over the weekend, I saw something about some reps talking about they gave blowjobs for doctors to write more scripts. Only on Darshan.
No.
This is not After Dark, by the way. This is
Um,
Darshan's regular LinkedIn feed. I was like, whoa.
what?
But
Oh,
dude,
look
look at Robert Goldman. Shout out to you.
Dr.
Robert threw in his
Goldman.
ad right here. I don't know who he's showing, but it's awesome.
I guess Alcoa is welcoming Chief Executive Consultant Gustavo Poveda.
Whoever
I think we need to
Robert
get
puts
a
on is a
trophy for
stand-up
that.
dude. Yeah, I never met that dude, but stand-up dude. There's Darshan right there.
Sure.
Look,
This is the
pharmacy
one-
owner jailed for kickbacks. Look at Darshan's face. Oh my
So
gosh,
wrong.
man. Where's the post? The spicy one, man.
Let's try to see the spicy one as you put it.
It was like
someone responded to
it was recent, man. It actually did really well. But anyways, it was some sales rep stuff. But that optimum thing, whatever video reminded me
So
of
what
that.
it was in that scenario was essentially someone was being told that they are that can you pay a doctor too much, and someone said it was actually one of my old university professors said that in the past doctors used to get paid a lot of money. Someone actually came out and said they actually know of someone who allegedly coordinated prostitutes for them. And I was like, I think that might be a step too far. I'm not sure I believe that. That seemed like something someone said my best friend did it, I think.
Straight out of a Netflix script.
Exactly.
I mean, what's that pill pusher movie on Netflix with the
I know what you're talking about.
Purdue Pharma, the Purdue Pharma one.
Yeah, I mean there are a couple of them, but
they were basically saying the same thing. They were like prostituting themselves to get prescriptions. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure I believe that. That may be a step too far.
I believe it, man. I've worked in doctors' offices. Listen, maybe I'll save it for After Dark. No,
maybe it's an After Dark conversation.
I believe it. I believe it. But this is interesting. But maybe we'll take this commercial off the screen. Looks like a Cialis ad or something.
Looks like a Cialis ad.
No, that's how they start. Like something like
holding each other's shirt. What Cialis ads are you watching?
The ones that we all see, you know? Let me know in the comments, guys. Kevin seems to be laughing. I see. Oh no, this might be Ozempic. He's eating a whole chocolate mousse. Look at that. If it was Ozempic, he can't be touching.
I also think it's a bit of a problem. All new episodes Wednesdays at 9 Central. Probably not, considering it stopped 10 years ago.
Royal Pains USA.
This was a good show.
Okay, we'll check it out.
It was very, very unrealistic, but still a good show.
Which episode do you appear in?
No, I do not appear in a show. However, one of the books I wrote does show up in a Netflix show.
Dude, so this you need a Darshan needs a reality show.
I 100% am down for a reality show. How about that?
I'd be down for it.
Sign me up.
Okay. And on that note, thank you for joining on an almost After Dark episode.
Really late.
Really late. It's not dark here, but
oh, that's true.
I'm gonna have to get going. Darshan, you're amazing, man. You scared me in the beginning, but then you made it all better and made me laugh towards the end. So it was like perfect. You know how to handle your clients. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Oh, but before we go, do you want to tell them about the project we're working on for clinical trial sites?
let me whisper it in here so only you can hear. Is it the Site Owner Academy?
Say that again. Louder and prouder.
Site Owner Academy, guys. If you are still here, I don't know why you'd still be here, but there we do have a Site Owner Academy. So if you're a doctor or anyone interested, we're completely rebanded. Myself and the Latinos in Clinical Research team partner with Darshan on this course, and we completely relaunched it. So the first course is starting in September 6th ish. It's on our website. So go check it out. If you go to, it's actually underneath the video, but if you go to the universityofclinicalresearch.com, it's right there. And I could share, let me share the screen. I mean, we shared freaking like Viagra ads. Let's share like an actual business we have. Thank you, Darshan. Before I go, can you guys see the Site Owner Academy? And we see all the team and Baba Yaga himself there. So go check it out, the University of Clinicalresearch.com. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for reminding me how to do a plug.
Absolutely.
You confuse me with all your newsfeed stuff and distracting, man. But
it's all about show and tell.
Apparently. Thank you, Darshan. We appreciate it. Guru Nation, go follow Darshan right now. As you can tell, you're not compliant. Bye-bye.